Petersburg, Russia. First time here since 1992, just after the wall came down. Cathedral of Saviour and Blood. So first time I came here, I hopped on the train in Moscow and it said going to Leningrad, and I got off in St Petersburg. The authorities here had already changed its name, but Moscow hadn't yet agreed. St Petersburg here was founded in the beginning of the 1700s, and the capital moved from Moscow up to here. Most famously known nowadays for the Hermitage that we'll go to tomorrow. The Hermitage, you might be thinking it's a lovely evening with the lights and the flag and the grey skies, but it's about 10:30 in the morning. That's what happens when you're near the Arctic Circle. That is the Winter Palace of Catherine the Great, built in about 1732, I think, and it was the home of the Russian Tsars from the 1730s until 1917, and it was in there in October 1917 that the Bolsheviks chucked out the provisional government and brought into being what became the Soviet Union. The Hermitage.
You don't need to walk around the Hermitage for very long to realise that if the peasants had any idea of how these people lived, they would have had a revolution. Oh wait, they did. More than a century since it ceased being a palace, the Hermitage now hosts one of the world's finest art collections. And indeed, there is no art gallery I've ever been to that hosts so many great masters so close to each other and so accessible as the Hermitage does now. From Matisse to Renoir to Gauguin to Picasso, the whole bit.
This is St Peter and Paul Cathedral in the Peter and Paul Fortress in St Petersburg. St Petersburg was founded by Peter the Great just after the turn of the 1700s, and he founded St Petersburg because he needed a port in the north which made access to the Baltic possible. And when you look at a map of Russia and look at where St Petersburg is, putting the capital here so far from the rest of Russia kind of makes it a bit of an administrative difficulty. And here in St Peter's and Paul Cathedral in the fortress, this is where most of the former Tsars were buried. Catherine the Great's buried here, Peter the Great's buried here, and in the 1990s they finally found and proved the bodies of Nicholas II and his family, and they are also buried here. Around the end of Tsar Nicholas's time, the Trubetskoy prison back here was known as one of the worst because prisoners were held in complete isolation, not able to work, not able to communicate, and it drove them mentally nuts. A whole lot of factors led to the Russian Revolution. Tsar Nicholas II believed in the divine right to rule. He had no connection really with the people. He had a disastrous Russo-Japanese War, 1904-1905, which weakened his authority in the minds of the people. In 1905, Bloody Sunday,
where he ordered soldiers to shoot down a number of people who were coming merely to protest. And the disastrous Russian campaign in World War I, 1914 onwards, really completely shattered Russian people's confidence in the Tsar. 1917 had two revolutions, one at the beginning of the year and one at the end. And of course it was the October Revolution in 1917 that brought to the end the Romanov rule